So shooting with Apolog is great now and it's pretty easy, truth be told, but what about color grading? And when you're doing professional work, especially shooting log, color grading is super important. So I just said shooting Apolog is easy, and for the most part it is. And what I really mean by that is because now you can shoot that in the native camera app. And the main thing you need to do though is just make sure you get your exposure correct, and primarily don't overexpose the image. But what I want to look at today is how to color grade. And this isn't a detailed tutorial. This is looking at LUTs and different LUT packs, because really when you're going to grade log, you typically want to start with a conversion LUT and then create your look from there. All right, I am in Premiere Pro, but this will work in any editing app that accepts LUTs, which is pretty much every app today. Final Cut Pro, DaVinci Resolve, LumaFusion, even CapCut. LUTs are commonplace now. Most apps take them. And so don't worry if you don't use Premiere Pro. I'm just going to be demoing the LUTs, and then each app you can finesse them how you want. And so I've got a couple shots in here, all shot on the 15 Pro Max using Apolog. And I've got an overexposed shot, nice exposed shot. These are shot outside. And then I've got some pickup shots I did from a movie recently and a couple other shots. So different examples using different LUTs. And the LUTs I'm going to be looking at today are ones from Filmic Pro, Dave Mays, although that's not his last name anymore, and I can't remember his last name, but Tyler Stallman, the One LUT guys, and then one from a company called LUT Co., which is made by a guy named Evan Schneider. And then we'll also compare my Apolog LUTs. So with all that out of the way, we'll look at this first shot. It's outside. I purposely overexposed the background because I wanted her to be exposed. And this is a situation you'll probably find yourself in. You're shooting in the shade, but the background is hot. So let's see how each LUT works. And this is just dragging and dropping them onto the file. That is the Filmic Pro LUT. It's a free LUT, and the Filmic Pro LUT is modeled after the Final Cut Pro LUT, which I'm not using. And it's mainly because they are mimicking what the phone would look like. And that's not necessarily a look that I like, but in some situations, especially if you're matching footage, that could work. And now here is the Dave Mays LUT. He calls them iLUTs. It's a very natural look. Here's the Stallman LUT. He went for what I would say a crunchier, beefier look, more gamma for sure. Here's the One LUT, and the One LUT is emulating the Arri Alexa. And so you'll see as we go through these that it is a much, what I would call a thicker, heavier LUT, and it tends to go a little more blue. And then here is the LUT Co. LUT from Evan Schneider. And then lastly, here is my LUT. So again, these are drag and drop LUTs. Nothing else has been done at this point, because what you would do is this is really just a conversion LUT. At least mine and Evan's are for sure, and so are Dave Mays. The Filmic Pro LUT, it's a conversion LUT, but it's adding some chroma in there. The Stallman LUT is technically a conversion LUT, but it's really creating a look in my opinion. And the One LUT is definitely creating a look. So it's a conversion LUT and a creative LUT all in one. And then the LUT Co. LUT is more of a traditional conversion LUT. Now we'll look at the next shot. This shot is exposed for the highlights, and so her hair is actually not overexposed. And so now we'll see how these work on this shot. Here's the Filmic Pro. Again, real punchy and saturated. Looks more like what the phone would do not shooting Apolog. This is the iLUT from Dave. His seemed to be a little more desaturated and a little bit warmer. Stallman LUT in this situation is very crushed. And again, his LUT does that a lot. And so does the One LUT. The One LUT brings everything down. Now, keep in mind, of course, you can go in and you can finesse that. But for a conversion LUT, to me, this isn't ideal. It's more of a look. So far, this is the best look, and this is LUT Co. It's a very standard looking shot from the log. And then last one is mine. And I would say it's pretty similar to the LUT Co. Now we'll look at an outside shot, and this is a shot from my movie. It's a pickup shot I did shooting on an iPhone. We shot the main movie on a Red Komodo, but we did some insert shots, and especially now that I got the 15 Pro Max, we're giving it a try. We're using it in some situations. But that's the log image. Here's the Filmic Pro LUT. Now, one thing you'll notice, and I mentioned at the beginning that log is easy to shoot, and it is, and we use the native camera app here, but of course you don't have control over the white balance. And so not only is exposure important, but white balance is important. That's one reason using the Blackmagic app would probably be ideal. But here we kept it simple, and as a test, I shot with the native camera app, so it's a little more blue. And again, this can be corrected, but this is how the LUT looks dragging and dropping. So there's the iLUT, that's Dave's LUT, fairly desaturated, a little bit green. Now here's the Stallman LUT, and the Stallman LUT works better here, still a little bit desaturated, again, because the white balance weight was shot was off, and all that can be corrected. That's the one LUT, mimicking the Arri Alexa. And then here is the LUTCO. That doesn't look bad, looks pretty good. And then here is mine. Again, mine is similar. It's a little bit less contrasty than the LUTCO. But again, all you have to do is go in underneath that LUT and do some color correction. And I just wanted to show that. So here is the way my LUT looks, just dragging and dropping it. And then here is the way it looks with some color correction. And I use Lumetri color. And I don't want to go into detail here, but basically I just went in, applied the LUT, and then I adjusted the various levels to get that look. So that is what you do. You normally would use the utility LUT to correct the log, just drag it and drop it on. And then from there, you go in and do more correction and or grading. And that's kind of a blend of what I did here. Although I didn't use any plugins, that's all right in Lumetri color. And so again, if you were in Final Cut Pro or whatever app you're using, I'm just using the built-in tools. And last thing I want to show, and this would not work in every app because I'm going to show dedicated third-party plugins. And the two I'm going to look at are Dehancer and FilmConvert. Now this is just another way to go. If you want to use LUTs, that's great. Here you wouldn't use a LUT. You would actually use this plugin that works like a LUT, but then it adds film emulation on top of it. Grain, halation, bloom, etc., whatever you choose. And so this first shot is using FilmConvert. Now I've already gone through and created this look. And so if you want to know how I did that, drop a comment and maybe I'll consider doing a detailed tutorial on using this. However, just wanted to show the film emulation. And what I did was, because the actual footage was a little bluer, as I mentioned earlier, I actually did color correction underneath the FilmConvert. So this Lumetri color here that's on the bottom is actually creating the warmer look, but then the FilmConvert is creating the actual film look. Again, infinite ways to color correct. You can choose different film stocks, etc. I picked standard Kodak. And the one thing I really like about FilmConvert is you have all these nice controls with color wheels, saturation, etc. It's a true color correction tool versus just a plugin you drop on there, which is really what Dehancer is. Dehancer is great, but I don't necessarily color correct using Dehancer. I create a look using Dehancer. And that's what you're doing with FilmConvert here too. But it does have these nice controls to actually do some color correction within the effect. And here's how that shot looks. All right, and then last one. Now I'm going to use Dehancer. You drop it on, and it has a ton of control. It's mainly film controls, effect controls is what I would call it. And for input, I chose Apple, iPhone, Apple Log. and then it creates the actual proper gamma profile. And then you go through and pick what you want. I picked Kodak Ultramax 400. It's got a ton of film stock. You can go through and pick whatever you want. And then the one thing I really love about Dehancer is I love the bloom. The bloom just gives it a little extra subtle film look, softens the image a little bit, but just blooms the highlights. And I really like that a lot. And then I did the same thing as a base color correction. I used metric color to warm it up back there because, again, the white balance was more blue on the actual original footage. And that's how that looks. It's a very cinematic look. I mean, it's hard to believe that was shot with an iPhone. So using LUTs is a great way to go when color correcting log. It's a great way to start in particular. I always say LUTs are a great starting point and then you finesse it from there. The cool thing is several of these LUTs are actually free and then several of them cost, like mine, Evan's, and one LUT. So definitely if you have a 15 Pro Max and you're shooting Apple log, check out these LUTs. But the main thing, get out there and make something cool. Don't wait to create. Thanks for watching. This is Blake Calhoun. Please like, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.